This episode is based on publicly available posts, statements, and documents. What follows is analysis and interpretation, not a statement of proven fact. This is Delta Deep Dive, and today we're stepping into a moment when the law wasn't followed. It was aimed. What would you do if the chief of police, a detective, and a political candidate all turned their focus onto you? Not because you broke the law, but because you challenged her. What would you do if a political disagreement, a residency question, a public records request, a simple act of civic participation, suddenly became the spark for something darker? What would you do if the people with the power to arrest you decided to manufacture a crime instead? This is Count 2, Malicious Prosecution, the moment when a political plan crossed the line into a criminal accusation, and the machinery of the state was pointed at one man. Today, we're not just looking at emails, we're looking at intent, because Count 2, Malicious Prosecution, isn't about confusion or misinterpretation. It's about a deliberate choice. A choice to take something that wasn't a crime and treat it like one anyway. A choice to move forward with a charge that had no probable cause, after the Michigan State Police had already confirmed the residency issue was legitimate, after the political context was known, after the facts were clear. This episode is about the moment the system stopped being neutral and became a weapon. The email chain is the spine of Count 2. The political candidate writes to the chief of police. The chief forwards it to a detective. The detective begins exploring options. Not investigative options. Not factual options. Not legal clarifications. Charging options. The tone isn't, did a crime occur? It's, what can we charge him with? That pivot, that single shift in the mindset, is the foundation of malicious prosecution. Because the law is clear. You cannot influence or participate in a prosecution that has no probable cause. You cannot use the criminal process to settle political irritation. You cannot manufacture a crime. But that's exactly what Count 2 alleges. To prove malicious prosecution under Section 1983, 4 elements must be met. 1. A criminal prosecution was initiated. 2. The defendants made influenced or participated in the decision. 3. There was no probable cause. 4. The case ended in the plaintiff's favor. Count 2 checks every box. The prosecution was initiated. The emails show influence. The Michigan State Police report shows lack of probable cause, along with reports to the county clerk and the state of Michigan. And the case was dismissed. But the most important part, the part that gives this episode its weight, is the why. Why move forward? Why pursue a charge after the facts were known? Why treat a political disagreement like a criminal act? That's where Count 2 becomes more than a legal claim. It becomes a story about power. There's a moment in the emails, a single line, where everything crystallizes. A line that reveals the mindset, a line that reveals the goals, a line that reveals the plan. It's not about public safety. It's not about law. It's not about community. It's about control. The charge becomes a tool, a way to silence, a way to retaliate, a way to make a political problem disappear. This is the essence of Count 2, the intentional creation of a criminal case where none existed. What malicious prosecution really means. Malicious prosecution isn't about personal malice. It's about misuse of the legal process. It's about taking the power to arrest, the power to charge, the power to prosecute, and bending it toward a personal or political objective. It's about turning the criminal justice system into a weapon. And when you read the emails, the timing, the coordination, the options, you see exactly why Count 2 exists. This wasn't a crime discovered. It was a crime constructed. When the charge was dismissed, the story didn't end. Because dismissal doesn't erase the damage. Reid still had to live through the arrest, the booking, the fear, the uncertainty, the knowledge that people with power had decided to target him. Count 2 is the legal recognition of that harm. It's the system acknowledging that the system itself was misused. When you look at malicious prosecution cases across Michigan and the Sixth Circuit, a pattern emerges. Most of them involve a chaotic scene, a bad arrest, sloppy police work, or officers stretching weak evidence too far. But Reid's case, it doesn't fit that mold. It's cleaner, it's sharper, and legally stronger than the cases courts have already ruled in favor of. Let's compare. Case 1, Sykes versus Anderson, 2010. Why the plaintiffs won? Officers misrepresented facts and withheld exculpatory evidence. Why Reid's case is stronger? Sykes involved officers twisting an existing situation. Reid's case involves creating a criminal charge from nothing, after Michigan State Police confirmed no crime occurred. Sykes, misconduct layered onto a real event. Reid, misconduct without any underlying event at all. That makes Reid's case cleaner and easier to prove. Case number 2. King versus Harwood, 2017. Why the plaintiff won? A detective revived a dead case using discredited evidence. Why Reid's case is stronger? King involved a detective pushing a weak theory. Reid's case involves a political candidate, a chief of police, and a detective, coordinating a charging plan together. King, one detective, acting alone. Reid, a coordinated effort involving multiple officials. Courts view coordinated influence as more serious and more actionable. Case 3, Miller versus Maddox, 2017. Why the plaintiff won? Officers lied in reports after a chaotic arrest. Why Reid's case is stronger? Miller involved officers covering themselves after a messy incident. Reid's case involves no incident at all. Just a political irritation turned into a criminal accusation. Miller, reactive misconduct. Reid, proactive misuse of the criminal process. Proactive misuse is legally more egregious. Case number 4, Jones versus Naert, 2024. Why the plaintiff lost? The officer didn't influence anyone. Why Reid's case is stronger? Reid's case has emails showing influence, a political figure initiating the complaint, a chief forwarding it, a detective exploring charging options, and a charge pursued after exculpatory information was known. Jones failed because influence wasn't proven. Reid's case proves influence in writing, and we all know paper is record. That's the difference between losing and winning. Here's the truth. Most malicious prosecution cases start with a real event. A fight, a traffic stop, a chaotic scene, a misunderstanding. The officer misreads it, or exaggerates it, or mishandles it. Reid's case starts with none of that. It starts with a political disagreement, a residency dispute, a candidate emailing a chief of police, and a detective looking for options. There was no crime, no victim, no incident, no investigation, no probable cause. And exculpatory confirmation from Michigan State Police? Reid's case is cleaner than Sykes, more coordinated than King, more intentional than Miller, more provable than Jones. This isn't a case where the system stumbled. This is the case where the system aimed, and that makes it stronger than the cases courts have already ruled on. So today, we leave you with the question we opened with. What would you do if the people sworn to uphold the law decided to use it against you instead? Because in the end, the most dangerous crime in the story wasn't the one they accused him of. It was the one they created. This has been Delta Deep Dive, and next we explore the moment everything finally makes sense, the motive behind it all.